Good afternoon, students. Welcome to your online home science class. So previously, as we have started with chapter number 7 and we have concluded up to the factors affecting influencing the nutritional well-being, and today we are going to start with the nutritional problems and their consequences. So before starting from this, I want to recapitulate the thing that we have read in our previous class. So starting this chapter, we have read about what is health, what are the different dimensions of health. So what are the different dimensions like physical health, social health, mental health, what are the different characteristics of these dimensions. And also we have learned about healthcare, what is healthcare, how healthcare is provided in different community or in different individuals, and what are the different healthcare levels like primary healthcare level, secondary healthcare level, tertiary healthcare level, and what are the different indicators of health and what are the functions of these indicators of health, and also about nutrition and health and how does this nutrition and health influences the proper health and sanitization, and also learned about the nutrients, the different nutrients, what are the two types of nutrients, the macronutrients and the micronutrients, and what nutrients falls under the macronutrients, what nutrients falls under the micronutrients. So both of these and examples also we have learned about this, and also learned about how the good health and nutrition help us to cope up with our daily life, and also the optimum nutritional status that is important for us. Also learn those points, and how does this productivity influences us with the help of the different factors. So health and nutritional inputs required for productivity, we have also learned about the factors like food, optimum nutrition, positive health, sanitization and health, access to services, facilities, education and skills, good environment. And lastly we have learned about the benefits of good nutritional status for children's education. For those things like good nutrition has always the positive influences on brain development, general status of the health, vision, and the several factors which are under those. So we have learned about this, and also we have learned about what malnutrition is all about. So what is malnutrition? Like undernutrition and overnutrition falls under this malnutrition only. So what are those? We have discussed about in our last class, and today we are going to start with this, that is the factors affecting nutritional well-being. We have also gone through this in our last class. The World Health Organization, which has listed 4 factors which are important for nutritional well-being. So what are those factors? Those factors are food and nutrient security, care for the vulnerable, good health for all, and safe environment. I have also discussed about these points in the last class, and today we are going to start with this topic, that is nutritional problems and their consequences. So what are the different nutritional problems? As I told you, like this overnutrition, undernutrition, several diseases which belongs under these, and what are their consequences. We are going to learn about these in this class. Okay. So in India there exists several nutritional problems in the populations. Undernutrition is a major problem which is reflected in the higher numbers of pregnant women who are undernourished and have small babies with low birth weight, as well as young children below the 3 years of age who are underweight and stunted. So 1/3 of the babies born in India are low birth weight, that is less than 2500 grams, that is 2.5 kg. So the babies who are born under 2.5 kgs are considered as low birth weight baby, that is LBW baby. Consider this term. And similarly the considerable percentage of women too are underweight. So there are other nutrition related deficiencies such as iron deficiency, anemia, vitamin A deficiency, consequent blindness, and iodine deficiency. Undernutrition has several negative effects on the individuals. So you have to remember that these problems which are pretty common in the whole society. that is iron deficiency anemia, vitamin A deficiency, and and the consequent blindness as well as the iron deficiency. These are very common. And so this undernutrition not only reduces body weight but has devastating effects on children's cognitive development, like the brain development, the concentration power, these things. Immunity can also be result in disability, example blindness due to vitamin A deficiency. Iron deficiency is a threat to health and development, especially for the young children. And pregnant women, since it results in goiter, stillbirth, and miscarriage in women, and deaf mutism, mental retardation, as well as cretinism in children. So cretinism in children means they becomes dwarf. I mean, they doesn't grow from that in that age. They doesn't grow quite a bit. So that is what we call cretinism. And the head becomes enlarged. Those are called the cretinism. And also the mental retardation as well as deaf mutism. These are the several factors which can cause due to the undernutrition. So iron deficiency also has negative impact on health and well-being. In infants and young children, its deficiency impairs psychomotor and cognitive development and thus adversely affects the scholastic performance. So concentration, mental, there's concentration as well as the IQ, these things are very hampered due to this iron deficiency. So conversely, overnutrition is also not good. Intake in excess of the requirements leads to several health problems. So as well as since the undernutrition has caused because of the not eating or not having proper nutrition, and also if excess is consumed, and that can also be lead to malnutrition, which is called overnutrition. So in case of some nutrients, it may lead to toxicity, and the persons may become overweight and even obese. Obesity in turn increases the risk of several diseases. Those are the chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart diseases, and hypertension. In India, we face problems both ends of the spectrum, that is undernutritional, that is the nutritional deficiencies, and the overnutrition, which can also be said as diet-related chronic communicable diseases. So it has the term that has been given is double burden malnutrition. So in our country, the third national and family health survey shows that 28.9% men and 22.2% women from urban areas are overweight or obese, the percentage being much lower among rural men, that is 8.6%, and women, that is 7.2%. So go through this thing very properly, because the questions are going to come from this aspect. So now the nutrition and infection. So how the nutrition is related to infection, we already know now. Nutrition and infection. So how nutrition is related to infection, and how the infections are also being related to this nutrition. So we already know now. So providing enough food to fulfill the nutritional requirements is not adequate. The influence of environment is also important. So nutritional status does not depend only on the sufficient supply of the food and nutrients, but also on the person's health status to a greater extent. So nutrition and infections are intimately interlinked. Poor nutritional status decreases resistance and immunity, and thus increases risk of infection. So on the other hand, during infection, the body loses the considerable amount of its nutrient reserves through vomiting and diarrhea, while the nutrient requirements are actually increased. So if nutrient intake is insufficient compared to the requirement due to the loss of the appetite or the inability to eat, infections will affect the nutritional status adversely. So thus the risk of the another infection increases, and now the persons, especially children, the elderly, and those undernourished are at the risk of contracting more infections or diseases. So it doesn't mean that if you are being provided with proper nutrition and proper food, that doesn't mean that you are not malnourished or any kind of infections or diseases will not happen to you. That is absolutely incorrect, because if the proper environment, or if you don't maintain your hygiene and sanitation, these characters not well, so infections or diseases can occur to you, and at that very moment during your when you are having any kind of disease or infection, then suppose you're doing vomiting or diarrhea. So with this vomiting and diarrhea, the nutrients are being losing from your body. So in that time you need extra these vitamins or minerals or the nutrients. You need some nutrients at that time. So if you don't consume proper nutrients at that time with proper food, so that disease, the disease which is already existing, can lead to another diseases or infections. Okay, so the situation might get also critical than what the previous situation is. So we have to maintain the proper this nutrition during our infection time. So we have to have that water and electrolyte balance in our body, so that we can deal with the infections properly. So this is what has been said here. So if you don't consume your food properly at the time of the infections or the disease whichever you are having, the thing may get critical. So now, in developing countries, foodborne illnesses such as diarrhea and dysentery and the major problems, since they can lead to dehydration and death. So dehydration and death, this is very vital and can be said as the last factor of our human cycle, death. So this can also occur if foodborne illnesses and diarrhea, dysentery, these are not treated properly with the help of the medicines as well as proper nutritional habits. So many of the infectious and communicable diseases are due to poor environmental sanitation, poor household, personal and food hygiene. The key therefore is to look into how these diseases can be prevented. So we have to maintain, or we have to see the guidelines that how these diseases can be prevented with the help of different measures. So we are going to learn about this now. This hygiene and sanitation. So prevention and control of diseases has to be addressed, both intrinsic and extrinsic factors, so which are linked with various diseases. The box below listed these factors. So what are the factors which influences the prevention and control of the different diseases? So the intrinsic factors are the host factors, and the extrinsic factors are the environmental factors. So in the left column it is the host factors, that is the intrinsic factors, which are the age, sex, ethnicity, race. So it also influences the extrinsic factors, which are the physical environment like air, water, soil, housing, climate, geography, heat, light, noise, radiation. So these are influenced by the age, race, ethnicity and sex. And number 2 is biological factors such as heredity, blood groups, enzymes, levels of various substances in blood, example cholesterol, functions of the various organs and systems leads to the different kinds of if not maintained, different kinds of disease can occur. And the extrinsic factors are the biological environment includes the human being, all other living beings such as animals, rodents, insects, plants, viruses, microorganisms. Some of these act as disease producing agents, some are reservoir of infection, intermediate hosts and vectors of disease. So if these things are not looked after properly, then the prevention and control of these different kinds of diseases cannot be maintained. So now the number 3 is social and economic characteristics like occupation, marital status, housing. And number 4 is on these intrinsic factors is lifestyles factors, example nutrition, diet, physical activity, living habits, use of addictive substances such as drugs, alcohol, etc. And the extrinsic factors are the psychosocial factors, emotional well-being, cultural values, customs, habits, beliefs, attitudes, religion, lifestyles and health services, etc. So from these points you can see properly that Intrinsic factors mean what are the factors among us, inside us, the lifestyle skills or the functions of the organs, systems, use of addiction, these additives like drugs, alcohol, housing, etc. These are surrounded by us, okay, and we are included in this. And the extrinsic factor, you can see the environment, okay. Extrinsic factors means these environmental factors, that how the environment or the psychosocial or social factors are influencing the prevention and the control of the diseases. So among these factors, sanitation and hygiene, nutrition and immunization are the key inputs. When we speak about hygiene, we are concerned with essentially two aspects, that is personal and environmental. So health depends to a greater extent on the social environment as well as lifestyle behavior, including food intake. So it also closely related to hygiene. Poor hygiene leads to several infections and infestations such as worm infestations. So the environmental hygiene. Now the environmental hygiene, as we have read the personal and the environmental. So the environmental hygiene comprises external matters, both organic and inorganic, at the domestic hygiene, that is home and community levels. These include physical factors such as water, air, housing, radiations, etc., as well as the biological factors, that are the plants, bacteria, viruses, insects, rodents and animals. So these are the different environmental factors which influences this our this proper sanitation and hygiene. So now the personal hygiene, as you can see, several factors like bathing properly or washing your hands after different activities, and when you are sneezing, suppose coughing, you have to close your mouth with your hand, and you have to cut your nail properly so that germs cannot be deposited in your under the nails, and you have to dress properly, you have to wash your dress properly, maintain to keep it from germs and bacteria. And these are the personal hygienes. And what are the environmental hygienes? The water supply, the food sanitations, the vector control, mosquitoes like malaria, sanitation practices, housing, garbage disposal, properly disposal of liquid waste and savages, disposal of human excreta. So these are the several environmental hygiene. So this thing we have to maintain, not personally but all of us. We all should maintain this environmental hygiene to keep our environment clean and free from germs and bacteria, and keep it hygiene and sanitized. So these are the several factors that we have learned. So we will keep it up to this, and next day we are going to start with this, what is food hygiene and how what are the several how does this food hygiene influences on the several factors. So we are going to start with this in our next chapter. I think we will be completing this part next day, and we will start with B. Okay, so till then go through this. If you are having any problem, you can ask me. Some of you are asking, I'm very appreciated about it, that at least you are getting the notes and you are asking the things, and